Hello, everyone. I'm Gold Derby Senior Editor Denton Davidson, and I'm here with BAFTA-winning director Hamish Hamilton, who has earned his 7th and 8th Emmy nominations for directing this year's Super Bowl halftime show. And he also directed and produced the Grammys, which are up for Best Variety Special. So, Hamish, first of all, congratulations. How do you hear the news this year, and what does that mean to you to be recognized again?
I mean, it means loads and loads and loads and loads. I mean, I feel, honestly, I feel super psyched and gratified that I have 2 nominations. It's amazing. And for 2 shows that I'm super, super proud of. You know, the Grammys, first one back after kind of COVID, really, the first. And, Super Bowl, probably the most epic Super Bowl of all time, and both done within a month of each other with incredible teams of people. And so I'm super psyched and super proud is probably the best way to answer that question.
And I would typically ask what you most look forward to about attending the Emmys, but you'll be working. You're actually directing them. So that's an interesting twist, I guess. So I'll ask, what can we look forward to about the Emmys? Can you give us any insight about the program you're planning, or any surprise guests or format changes? We learned recently Kenan Thompson is the host, so that's exciting.
Yeah, Kenan will be amazing and funny and a joy to work with. I'm not going to give too much away, but what I would say is that since the team and I'm part of a big team when it comes to Emmys, took over the Grammys 5 or 6 years ago, I think we've really, really changed the look and the feel of it. Was it 5 or 6 years ago, we introduced this giant kind of projection screen at the back where we really, put up large in the room these incredible creations and these incredible characters that people have created, so that when they were saying thank you for, when they'd won, they would be there, in front of the image or the program that they had created. And it also made it really great in the room because it's like a super oversized kind of cinema style presentation of all the clips and so that was great. And then obviously, actually probably one of my favorite shows of all time, actually, me personally, having been involved in, was the Emmy year that we did, which was COVID year. Really, really, really difficult. A lot of people very concerned, and we put together a Zoom show effectively with 180 Zooms. All kind of really cleverly stitched together so that people could talk to each other, and they'd had, it was amazing. And a lot of people tried before and after, and didn't necessarily get to the same place that we did. It was very technical, but it was incredible, magical seeing these people. And actually, almost the best bit was the bits that we didn't put out in a way. It's all these people who'd been locked up in their houses for a long time, jumping on these Zooms, and people go, "Oh my God, we've never talked before," and sometimes very star-filled rooms. So that was probably my super favorite. Anyway, so you asked me the question, what we're going to do differently this year. We're going to carry on in that heritage. We're going to carry on reinventing. We're going to carry on creating a great show in the room and a great and different show on television. And I think it's safe to say that we will continue the process and the creative energy that we introduced last year. And I think a lot of people said that it was one of the greatest Emmys ever to be in the room, last year. So hopefully that teases it a little bit, and it'll be a good show. It will be a good, fun show.
Is that the trick for you, is to make it a good show in the room and then have that translate to the audience at home and make them feel like they're there? Is that sort of the key, is to, make sure it's good in the ballroom first?
That's a good question. And I think actually, yes. I think that if it's a good show in the room, it's certainly much easier to capture and create a great show for television. Sometimes a show can be amazing on television and not so great in the room, but you have to be a very bad director, I think, to have a really great show in the room and a real sucker on television. And you know what? It's just great to create an atmosphere in the room where people are interacting and having fun. The Globes, for instance, what a great show the Globes is, you know what I mean? And we tried, certainly last year, we with tables in the room last year, we definitely, we borrowed the great bits of the Globes, and I think it worked. So yeah, a good show in the room is a great show to go to, isn't it? And you know, and as a director, if you've got your cameras there and you've got them in the right places and you're doing the right cutting, and then you're going to get a good show on television. You know, there's nothing better than a person hitting the stage with a big smile and you know, having had a great time at a table or to the person sat next to them. Do you know what I mean? It's just warmer. Yeah, and more genuine, isn't it? And yeah. Listen, we all like to go into great. You know, we all love going to a great party.
So you directed your 14th Super Bowl halftime show in a row. That's incredible. What continues to excite you about directing the musical portion of the most watched sporting event in the world? I mean, it's just got to be an adrenaline rush, pressure-filled moment. What keeps you going back?
It's the Super Bowl halftime is the greatest show ever. It's incredible on so many levels. And as a director within my kind of genre, my field, you know, I'm not a film director. I'd be a terrible film director. I'm not a reality sheet TV director, creator. I'd be terrible at that as well. You know, I'm a live multi-camera director. And the greatest show within that genre is Super Bowl halftime. It's, first of all, there's 120 plus million people probably watch it live. And, you know, that becomes a billion very quickly. You have the world's greatest artists, sometimes as per this year, multiple of them on the stage, either together or, you know, one after the other. And as artists, you know, Super Bowl halftime is a defining point within their career. It's something that they will, you know, see back so many times. It's something that their families will gather to watch their comrades and their, you know, and their kids. It's a real legacy thing, Super Bowl halftime. So, you know, with busy artists these days, sometimes, you know, they've got a lot of projects on the go, but, you know, they clear the decks for Super Bowl. It's like, okay, it's Super Bowl, I'm in, and I'm in, you know. And so to work with incredibly talented people for a show that's, you know, almost guaranteed to get 100 plus million, well, it is guaranteed to get 100 million, you're already at the top there. Now, if you add to that the complexity of Super Bowl and all the stuff that has to go into it, you really are then in a really special project. You know, thousands of people come together. You don't know when the show's going to start. I mean, that itself is kind of nuts. You know, this year we had this, we had the fastest first half, I think, in Super Bowl history. So the show started like 20 minutes earlier than we expected it to be, which meant we were effectively in the light, and we'd never seen the show in the light. We'd only ever see it in the dark, and we'd all anticipated that we were going to go at twilight. We're going to be in magic hour. So we're like, whoa, you know, all certain parts of the planning just got thrown out the window, and you're like, as you're getting the go, you know, your 8-minute go, we're furiously changing all the settings on cameras, furiously changing shots, thinking, well, I can't take that shot because, you know, in the darkness it looks this way, but in the light it's going to look this way. You know, it's also all the planning kind of goes out the window on one level, but all the planning also plays its part because you know the show well, you know, so all your specific kind of shots, rip them up, out they go, but all the planning and all your kind of knowledge of that show and your investment in the show for a year pays off, you know. And then it's like, honestly, Denton, it's like, it's an out-of-body experience. It really, really is. You know, you've got 8 minutes to get this thing to come up, right? And we all know what it's like. You know, effectively we're dealing with, you know, thousands of computers. And, you know, hey, one of my reasons why camera's in black and white right now is because I can't get the damn thing working, right? We've been on. That happens in Super Bowl. I've got thousands of computers that have got to come up, and sometimes one doesn't, you know, and you've got to deal with that. You know, you got to deal with it, and you can't be in black and white on the Super Bowl. And so it's really, really complex marriage of no time, incredibly complex technology, and absolute requirement for perfection for the greatest show ever, a show that was better than last year, which was usually the best show ever. So do you know what I mean? It's just like, whoa, it's a real mind meld. I nearly said something else there, but go with F, but it's, you know what I mean? It's like, and in the middle of it, there's this thrill of it. It's like, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm doing Super Bowl, my 14th, you know. You know, and here I am in London, you know, and it's I feel really proud to come to America each year to do Super Bowl. It's a huge validation of, you know, what I've done over my life. You know, it's a real plum job, and I feel very grateful to do it. And I throw everything at it, you know, and it's hard. Every year it takes you to the end and beyond.
This year you had Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, 50 Cent, Kendrick Lamar, Anderson .Paak. It was the first time hip hop was given the spotlight on this platform. So I have two questions. What took so long for hip hop to get that stage? And then my second question is, does that complicate things when you have so many performers? How much time do you get to rehearse with everyone before the live show?
I will be honest and say that when I, you know, first of all, I have to say, you know, so the bill is put together by Jay-Z and the team at Rock Nation, and they've done that now for 2 or 3 years. And you know, so yeah, it's Compton. We knew it's Compton, right? It's LA, and you know, all the clever money, including mine, was on a bill that included Dre, probably. But when, you know, when the bill started filtering down to us, I was like, oh my, this is super special. Massive smile on my face. And then the other side of it flicked in as the bill got larger and larger and larger and larger. Like, then I'm like, oh, I mean, how does this even work? How do you put together a show with that many people and have it make sense? How, you know, and I'm like, whoa, my head's starting to spin around and around and around. But actually, the clarity came from Dre on one level and Jay on another. You know, so first of all, I have to say, I've done so many multi-artist shows, and sometimes there can be a degree of, you know, rivalry. The most beautiful thing about this show was everybody was there for Dre. The number of times I heard people say, whatever Dre wants, we're here for Dre. You know, Dre put that music together and that kind of that arc and that narrative together so incredibly well, and had the support and the love of his family, you know, his musical family. It was really quite special. And then, of course, obviously on top of that, you've got Dre, Jay. You also have the talents of Ez Devlin, who kind of visually brought the whole kind of Compton streets to inside the stadium. And then you're having amazing moments, like, you know, you're rehearsing in Santa Monica with the full cast, which itself is like, I can't believe I'm in this room, right, with all these people. And Snoop, he's, I mean, we all.
So there are rehearsals in a different location.
Oh yeah. So we, you know, there were, you know, I kind of guess in a way everybody rehearses their little bit kind of on their own, and then, you know, they came together in Barker Hangar in Santa Monica for these just electric moments. And so you're seeing the show that everybody saw on Super Bowl Sunday, but I'm seeing it right there. And I'm walking around with my iPhone and I'm stood next to Dre as he's coming up, or Snoop as he comes down the stairs, or as 50 as he flops down. And I'm like, what is going on? And in one of the final rehearsals was the day that obviously LA got to Super Bowl Sunday. So, you know, we were rehearsing whilst kind of half watching the game. And literally that was an electric moment. At the end of that game, you know, they're going to the Super Bowl. The place went absolutely nuts. Snoop was on the mic, funny as you like. And everybody was just kind of like, you know, it was one of those pinch me moments. He was special, you know. To be in that room with so many exciting people and there's so many incredibly talented, you know, stars, you know, great. Honestly, I've got so many great memories.
I was the perfect demographic for that. I mean, my phone was exploding because they were my high school, early college artists. So are you coming back for the next one?
Yeah. And don't ask me who, because I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want to break the internet? Because there's rumors swirling that, you know, people are saying Britney Spears is going to make her big comeback there, but nobody really knows. Coming from you, nobody really knows.
Honestly, hand on my heart, I do not No, I wouldn't tell you if I did, but honestly, hand on my heart, this is not a poker face. This is a face with no knowledge. But I mean, those are some pretty big shoes to step into, right?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
every year it keeps on doing it. So,
you know, like that was like, I mean, there are no words for it, are there really? That was like, you know, again, I mean, you know, my phone was blowing up, and it wasn't really my demo. Do you know what I mean? But they were like, I mean, my phone was going nuts. It was like buzzing off the table. And there was such expectation, and they delivered. Do you know what I mean? They absolutely delivered and killed it, even in the daylight.
And you've worked with so many artists, you know, concert tours, Grammy Awards, Emmy Awards, Oscars. I mean, you've done so many things that have music intertwined. When you look back on your career, can you think of like 2 or 3 artists that really, even for you, rose above the rest, that you were just like, wow, this person in this room is just like, what a legend, that just really stands out to you, maybe above?
I don't think it's a question of anybody standing out above, because I think a lot of the time, I think it's very difficult to compare artists. I think it's very, very different because everybody's so different. Yeah. I've had some amazing, like truly amazing moments, and probably times that people wouldn't necessarily think, oh. But I remember being in the middle of the night. So I was in the UK. We were doing something for the Grammys. So, you know, in London time, that's the middle of the night. And we were there the night that Amy Winehouse won all those Grammys, and we staged the thing in London, and worked with her before. Yeah, very, very fragile lady, but incredible voice. And that was just something raw and real about that. That was really amazing. Honestly, each one of the Super Bowls has been special, you know, because every one you have to give everything. And as you're in that show, it is the best show you've ever done. It has to be. And with Super Bowl, it usually is, you know, until you top it maybe next year or whatever. And I've also been in some other situations. I mean, you know, we were doing a show with U2 the night of the Bataclan in Paris. We were, you know, 2 miles away. You know, so yeah, I'm really blessed. I've just got this kind of life full of memories. I wish actually that I'd been able to record me in all of those moments. I probably could have done any, but I'm not really a social media kind of guru, really.
And Kanye crashing the stage on Taylor Swift, was that the most awkward moment you've been a part of? Where you're like, what is going on?
You know, Kanye moment, that was really difficult. And I'll tell you for why. Because on one level, it was incredible. On another level, there was a lady called Taylor Swift in the middle of that. And there was a real, you know, you really felt for her as a human being. Mm-hmm. As producer and director who'd worked in the award show genre for many years, and you know, award shows, there's so many of them now, you know, and everybody wants something to happen. You know, what's going to be the moment that kind of like breaks the internet? And you know, Kanye stepping up that night broke the internet. I mean, goodness me, you know, President Obama got involved 2 years later, you know, so literally, you know, as the director there, you got to get it. You got to make sure that you nail it. You know, you get the cutaway of Beyonce, but you also make sure that you remember that, you know, Taylor has been really hard done by, and you know, so there was no close-ups of Taylor. You know, you don't want a close up on her emotion at the time. You want to give her the dignity that you would give anybody else. But on one level, you're thinking, and here we are. You know, it's 15 years ago. Here we are, still talking about that moment. And you know, I was the director in the booth that, you know, captured that moment and put it out there for the rest of the world, you know. So it's, you know, but that's the essence about being, you know, a live director. You've got to make great decisions like that, and it's instinctive, you know. It's instinctive, but it was also a TV moment where you had to treat Taylor very delicately, and hopefully I did. You know, it was happening in front of me, and it was my job to make sure that I treated it with the respect that it deserved. So anyway, I probably said, I've probably gone round and round and round, but then yeah.
Better or worse, it's an iconic moment in pop culture.
For better, for worse, yeah.
Yeah.
For better, for worse, absolutely is, absolutely is an iconic moment, and again, as a live TV director, you're often involved in lots of those, goodness me, Super Bowl this year was an iconic moment, it was a collection of iconic moments.
Real quickly, before I have to let you go, we're running out of time, but I heard that you were taking over the Kennedy Center Honors, which is one of our favorite awards programs.
Mm-hmm.
What can you say about that? Are you looking forward to the most? To me, it's just one of the classiest, most beautiful events that we can look forward to every year. What are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm as a member of the company, a partner in the Dun and Dusted family. I'm involved in the show, but I'm not directing or producing the show. I mean, that, talking about iconic shows, classy shows. It's amazing that as a company we've been entrusted with that.
Yeah.
That format. It really, for us, it's like almost like a coming of age. You know what I mean? In I guess in the UK, it would be a bit like getting a royal seal of approval. Do you know what I mean? Kind of like you get one of those that you're allowed to put on your company headdress, by appointment to Her Majesty the Queen. And I think Kennedy Center Honors is kind of similar. It's you. You are good enough as a company and as an individual to step up and produce that show. So it's a good moment.
Well, Hamish, absolute pleasure. Best of luck with the Emmy nominations, and we can't wait to see what the show brings us. We'll be tuning into the Emmys, knowing it's in good hands. To our viewers watching here, head over to colddegree.com, make your Emmy predictions, and watch more interviews with this year's nominees. And Hamish, thanks for your time.
Oh man, it's an absolute pleasure. I hope I didn't waffle too much.
Not at all.